Religion, philosophy, aesthetics, morality, physics, poetry, what are they but attempts to organize through metaphor the truly disappointing chaos that forces itself on you from that first waking moment? This out here, how entirely indescribable it is, how little of it submits to being summarized or repeated, recreated to others who might desire to know what you know, to learn some fraction of what you learned. Though they have nothing to offer in return, for they stand just as befuddled as you, just as blinded by the plume of colors plummeting toward them, jumbled and puzzled, looping in on themselves and back again, knots into knots, twisting over decrepit walls, crumbling and forming and birthing and dying, forever dying, so that just when some understanding is achieved, some love realized, the piece of comprehension shatters, never to come back. How easily we are lost in it, loafing through a dry, hot plain with no way home. How we will worship the bubble blue spouting in the distance, how we will dash to it, hoping for relief, for something cool and clean to soak ourselves in, to wash off the stench and refresh the senses, renew what was missing. Around him and above him, the players of the game were superimposed upon the always trivial world of the boy's childhood. What was once such a lonely sky was now studded with angels of every color and intention, and they came together and fought and separated and came back again and fought again, and it was not in the stream, but it was up there, right there, and it did not burn when he reached up to it. It welcomed him as profiteer, master of the stories, or at least owner of the piles and piles of notebooks, though it showed exactly where the story would go, precisely where he could direct it to extract the greatest dramatic payoff. All right, what's up, fantasy fans, comic book fans? Today I'm going to be bringing you a review of A Once Crowded Sky by Tom King. So I've not seen a lot of buzz around this book. It really feels like I'm the only person to have ever read this. When I looked on Goodreads, I saw a lot of mixed reviews for this. It's controversial to say the least. It's very divisive. It's no secret that Tom King is one of my favorite writers of all time. I think Mr. Miracle is the best comic book I've ever read. I also really love Strange Adventures, Sheriff of Babylon, and I enjoyed Rorschach not quite as much as the other ones I just mentioned, but it pretty up. Like everything I've read by him has been 5 stars. Visions, 5 stars. Maybe Omega Men was a 4.5. This is his first 4-star. Like this is his first not a 4.5, not a 5-star, but this is like a 4-star or like a 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10. But why is that? Let me just get this out of the way. What's the premise of this book? Because it doesn't really explain it that well on the back. So we follow mainly 2 characters, Penultimate and Soldier of Freedom. Penultimate is kind of like a mix of Dick Grayson and Superman, while Soldier of Freedom is very much like a Captain America stand-in. And you follow these 2 men that have lived drastically different lives while both still being superheroes. The Soldier of Freedom is kind of like tired of being a hero, and Penultimate kind of walked away from being a hero. The Soldier of Freedom is someone who never walked away, who was always called and was always, brought back to go on and be a hero and fight the good fight. And Penultimate took a step back. Penultimate is the sidekick of Ultimate, the man with the metal face, the greatest of the superheroes. And I'm going to say spoiler light here, but when Ultimate, through mind control, kills Penultimate's mother and father, and greatly damages the boy's body, he has to, rework his metal and his wiring and basically turn Penultimate kind of into a cyborg, but not really. And I don't know, it's very campy at first and very superhero fare, and definitely has a layer of cheese that you're going to have to chew through. But once you get to I want to say about 150 to 200, you really start to see what he's going for here. And those last 100 pages, I do think, are exceptionally written. I will say his prose throughout are amazing. His dialogue is not. Especially early on in the book, the dialogue kind of grated on me a little bit, but as it went on, it got better and better. But there was okay, so one line that I thought was really corny was whenever Strength is like, "You fucking coward, you fucking coward," and Penultimate makes the joke like, "Oh, I wasn't copulating while I was being cowardly," and it just kind of struck me as like a Shallan joke from the Stormlight Archive. Like it had a layer of cringe to it. It was not, I don't know if that was that impotent joke was meant to showcase Penultimate's own impotence. That could be a possibility, but if you look at the dialogue in Miracle Man, it's such a bar above this. But the prose in here are phenomenal. For someone who's never written another novel, I thought the prose were really good. Though I do think some of the repetition became indulgent. This is not a perfect book, but I will say it's a 4-star book because those last 100 pages were transcendent. He was very much channeling Dante's Paradiso and a little bit Virgil's Aeneid. However you pronounce it. He very much channels those great epics, but through a superhero narrative. Anyway, you have these two characters, and something happened. Ultimate made a sacrifice, and he went into the blue, and you don't really know what the blue is. You're not supposed to. And he took the other superheroes' powers. So now Penultimate is in a once crowded sky. There used to be these superheroes with all these amazing abilities, and now there's not. And now we have Penultimate and Soldier of Freedom. There are disasters occurring, explosions happening. This feels like a very post 9/11 world. And you have all these different, catastrophes happening, and we don't really know why. And all the heroes want the game to continue. They call it the game. This world where they exist as heroes and they fight villains and they go on forever and no one ever dies and everyone comes back. And to me, what Tom King is saying in this work, he is casting a light on the stagnancy proposed by some belief systems. In Paradiso, there's this proposed perfect paradise after death. But in this paradise, there is no trial, there is no tribulation, there is only the game, this eternal state of being where everything is cyclical and nothing ever has any substance, and we are never progressing towards something. And I think that's really where his goal is here, is to show the cyclic nature of these. We need real challenges. You need adversity. You need change. You can't exist in this state of constant regurgitation of, we fight the new villain comes, the heroes fight, they win. In a way, he's critiquing the superhero genre, but in a way, I think he's also critiquing Dante, and he's critiquing Christianity and this belief, and not just Christianity, but any monotheistic religion that preaches this eternal paradise after death. And I think I have read Dante's Divine Comedy. Most of it went right over my head, but I will say I do think that this is able to channel the greater aspects of that work in a more understandable light, and for what it says about human nature and society and this reality we live in, I could not give it below 4 stars. But the last 100 pages of this is 6-star material. Absolutely amazing. The only downside is the first 150 to 200 pages can feel like a very, very well written, but very cliched superhero story. And, it's done on purpose, much like Amazon's Invincible. It's made to feel like a Saturday morning cartoon until you get to the point where Omni-Man kills, the Guardians of the Globe. And then it's like, oh, this is like an R-rated, like a very adult show. But Invincible revealed that at the end of the first episode. This reveals it almost halfway or damn near 2/3 of the way through the story. It's a little less than 2/3. It's closer to halfway through. But halfway through the story, I would not blame someone for DNFing this, because it felt like very cliche superhero stuff. But I'm telling you, if you stick through it, it is a very rewarding journey. And while the ending may not be satisfying in a way, like it may not be satisfying as far as plot goes, thematically it's very satisfying. And it wasn't supposed to be satisfying from a plot and character perspective, because Tom King rarely is. He usually leaves things a little bit more open-ended than most people prefer. And it's usually to evoke his themes, because happily ever after means that there's stagnation. So we're not going to get that happily ever after. We're not going to get paradise after death. And that's why I believe you should give Once a Crowded Sky a read. It's absolutely amazing. Peace.